everyone, and welcome to the webinar again. So thank you all for making time for today's virtual hug. So hopefully there's some takeaways here you guys can use in your everyday life. So I'm just going to share my screen here and get everything going. Cool. And while I'm at it, I just want to say kudos to Sam again for putting together one of the better presentations I've seen on HubSpot reporting. Really well put together, and you explained all the points very well, Sam. So kudos, and great hair as well, I have to say. That's excellent. Okay, so firstly, so what we're going to talk about today, guys, really is how marketeers can use sales tools to support their sales teams. And this is through lots of all the automation you see in HubSpot. So just a brief introduction. My name is Andrew Munnelly. I'm a customer success manager here in Dublin. And this is what it looked like pre-lockdown when I was able to get a haircut. But my background outside of HubSpot has primarily been in SaaS sales and consulting for companies such as DocuSign. And on a more personal note, I'm happiest when I'm up a mountain. I'm supposed to be going to Japan in December to go hiking there, but we'll see what happens. But either way, I'm very excited. So cool. An agenda for today, guys. So brief introduction, a little bit about me, and a little bit about what we're going to cover today. Why workflows, why they're so important, and how they can save you and your sales reps valuable time. I'm going to give you some actions to automate. As I said, hopefully you guys take some ideas, inspiration from this presentation today to use in your own companies. And then I'll be speaking briefly about some product updates you can actually use today in HubSpot. Cool. So firstly, why use the sales tools? Why use the sales tools available in HubSpot? So this is basically a big statistics slide, okay? So on average, salespeople only spend about 35% of their time actually selling, okay? Which is not why companies hire salespeople. And, sorry, 1 second here. And why isn't this, there we go, perfect. So and of that, 27% of people who work in sales spend an hour or more on a day on data entry. So anyone here who's ever worked in sales or knows anyone that works in sales will know this number looks very, very familiar, okay? This is basically a big study that Inside Sales conducted a number of years ago and broke down rep time by these buckets, okay? So you can see kind of the big one here is admin tasks, external meetings, research, etc. And the two I'd like to focus on today are admin tasks and general follow-up, okay? So general follow-up is unavoidable. It really is a critical part of every sales rep process, having that human touch. There are certain ways you can automate it and help that. One key way is with the sequences tool. So for those of you that aren't familiar with sequences, the sequence tool allows you to queue up emails to send out to a particular contact. They're really a one-to-one or one-to-few method of communication. And this can really help cut down on the rep's follow-up and while still adding that human touch. So, but I'm not here to speak to you about follow-up. I'm here really to help you cut down on these admin tasks and how you can help your reps do that effectively. And we're going to achieve this by using workflows. So these allow just not for a faster and easier, more sales process, but as importantly, an accurate and reportable sales process as well. So this really is the centerpiece of the lead handoff procedure. So there are many jobs in the world that robots are just better at than humans, and you hire salespeople to do those jobs that robots are terrible at. So those jobs include building relationships, having nuanced conversations, and you want to free up and empower your salespeople to be able to do those things. So before the robots come and take all of our jobs, let the robot do the work, okay? But while we still can, let the robot do some of the heavy lifting and free up the time for people to let people do the job that they were hired to do. So this is going to be the guiding star for our talk today, okay? And this might look quite familiar to a lot of you. These are our lifecycle stages in HubSpot. HubSpot chose these because if you squint and you kind of tilt your head, they usually resemble a standard business sales process. As we talk about various things we can automate in HubSpot to make your reps' life easier, we'll try and map them to these progressive stages. Now we're going to talk about the always glamorous, always exciting topic of updating properties. So this is something that no rep enjoys doing. It's very time consuming, but really important. So those two factors make it a prime candidate for automation. And we're going to cover three today, and the first of which is territory. So this is a custom property. You need to create this in HubSpot. This is really where the prospect is located in terms of their territory. I'll explain more in a second. And just a little helpful tip, if you are creating this property, if you are a B2B business, generally speaking, it makes more sense to have this property under company. And if you are a B2C business, it makes more sense to have this under a contact property. Cool. So this will happen typically at this stage, the very beginning of a lead's life cycle, when you're trying to figure out what sales territory this lead belongs to. If you aren't automating this, it can be an intensely manual process. Usually a business will operate by region and not just a specific country, for example, EMEA, DAC, UKI. So it makes life a little bit easier, okay? So we'll keep in mind here as well. So what you want to do is you want to avoid the manual process here. So you're not automating this, so you don't have to search by state. So if the marketer wants to do a campaign, you don't have to search every single state, or a rep has to filter candidates looking for every single state in their bucket. And same with country. And most importantly, same by postcode. If you're looking at doing this every time you want to build out a new campaign, or a rep's looking to reach out to certain contacts, these postcodes, this can be an intensely manual process of filtering contacts just to find them. So I'm going to show you guys how to build a really simple automation that does this for us. So if you create a territory property, you can effectively create a workflow that will have that property automatically updated to the appropriate territory. Okay, so for those of you who aren't familiar with workflows, there are two key things here. Enrollment, so what are the criteria that makes this contact or company enter into that workflow? And then what are the actions you want to take as a result of that enrollment? Okay, so you see here that whenever a contact or company zip code is equal to any of these, we can have automation take place to update that contact or company property so the territory is equal zone A. So that could be EMEA, APAC, Northwest, whatever makes sense for you and your business. Now, I've talked a bit about lifecycle stages already, and we're going to show you how to update them and make your lives a bit easier. So as you go through qualification in HubSpot, there are really two types of qualifications. One is qualified by a system, by a robot, by using criteria and rules that define, okay, this is an MQL. And the second is kind of a human qualified lead. We're speaking about this one for now. So how can we automate this process? So it's really easy to automate this process in HubSpot. Some of the logical rules that can automatically qualify a lead, you can have these automatically move forward to an MQL or SQL. So here are some usual examples. So form a submission, some request a consultation, some request a quote, et cetera, et cetera. And we're going to the HubSpot score as well. And all these are OR. So if one of these bits of logic are met, then that person will change into an MQL. So the lifecycle stage is updated. And then another property that is quite popular and people ask me to explain quite a bit is what's the difference between lifecycle stage and lead status. So a lifecycle stage, if you can imagine, is really a macro update where it tracks what's happening from a contact when they become a prospect all the way that company moving to a customer. And a lead status is more of a micro update. This is more the rep saying where they are in terms of their communication with that lead. Have they engaged them yet? Where are they engaging with them? Are they pulling in other stakeholders, etc.? Now, what's really important as well, guys, is to create a suppression list. Whenever you create a workflow in the setting, there is the option to include a list. Anyone who's included in this list will not be included in the workflow. So you're probably thinking, great, this is updating lifecycle stages, but I have a number of contacts or companies that I know are customers and I don't want to be them to include them in this logic. So if there are known contacts who you don't want to be part of this workflow, or as I said, existing customers, you can include them in a suppression list to ensure they're excluded and no action is taken against them. Very simply, they will be immune to being fed through the automation machine. So, and then on that always fun topic of creating lists, anytime a rep or a marketeer wants a list of their MQLs, one really easy filter, you can look at active list. There are two types of lists in HubSpot. A static list, which is one which say you manually add or remove contacts, and then an active list, which is a list that has a set of rules and will add and remove contacts depending on that list. So this is an active list. So when the lifecycle stage is marketing qualified lead, then this will be an automatic list of your up-to-date marketing qualified leads in HubSpot. Cool. And then the last property I want to talk about here is the contact company owner. So this is effectively a reassigning workflow that divvying up leads to different reps. Yes, so as we spoke about here, this is qualified by system, and then we want to push it through to here. So we're going to assign these leads by region, and this can be where the value of automation can really come into play. So if you have those two workflows set up that we had a moment ago, you can set enrollment criteria. So if territory equals zone A or EMEA, UKI, Northwest, and lifecycle stage equals MQL, then you can rotate the leads between all of your favorite office characters, or you can rotate them to your sales reps as well. In addition to this, and also on this note as well, a bonus of this is so sometimes in particularly smaller companies, a manager wants to avoid being the quote unquote villain and having to decide who gets what leads. This automation completely removes that from the process and ensures it is completely fair because it's just done on a round robin basis. And you will need to do these for each of your territories. For example, if territory equals EMEA and lifecycle stage MQL, then rotate between these office characters. If it's in Northwest or APAC, then rotate between this team, etc. And just a note here as well, you can actually just automatically assign it to one particular owner as well. Maybe they're working one particular market or language or something else to that effect as well. And what's important, guys, is that, so what will happen is they'll get a notification, but we get notifications all the time. I forget the number of notifications that you get on your mobile phone a day, but it's quite significant. So it's very easy to ignore notifications, which is why I would always suggest creating a task as well, which looks like this. So it means that when Jim or Pam or Ryan or Pete or Clark gets assigned the lead, a task will be created. And then this can be like follow up now, follow up in 2 days, or it can be a string of tasks as well. Cool. Now, guys, the always fun lead rejection. Okay, so this is pretty important. So when leads go from here to here, sometimes they can just fall off. They might not be a good fit. There could be a dozen reasons why they're not a good MQL to pass forward. Now, in a lot of companies, there isn't a due process for finding out why the lead was rejected. There isn't really follow-up of marketing to see why they received an unqualified lead, and there can't be, and vice versa as well. There can be, little follow-up of marketing to sales to see, hey, why didn't they action these particular leads? So, but if you create a clear path to send those leads backwards, you can track these sort of things, and you can see the source of these unqualified leads. Is it a bit of automation that isn't making sense? Is it some marketing content that's not working? It may be a rogue rep is rejecting leads for no good reason. You can check on all of these as well. So in order to do this, we want to create a lead rejection drop-down property, okay? So it's just basically a property where we can mark when a lead is rejected. So we want to use this field to trigger automation so that our sales team will not need to update multiple fields or fill in multiple things to hand the lead back. So, and a reason for rejection, it's not a field in HubSpot by default. You will need to create this. This is just some inspiration for you guys to use. So we have like bad timing, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, low budget, whatever makes sense to your company. As Sam said, these decks will be sent across. You can have a look at this as well. Now that we've done that, we can build an automation based on which reason the salesperson selects, okay? So if, for example, someone says, okay, good lead, they fit the criteria, however, it's just bad timing, they lost a recent amount of investment or something to that effect, but whoever reach out back out to them in 6 months, okay? So we can enroll them in a workflow that 2 months from now, they'll receive a marketing email, 4 months, 5 months, and the 6th month, that rep will receive a task to reach out again. And of course, if any actions taken in between here as well, the rep can reach out in the meantime as well. Cool. After speaking about tasks so much, I think it's only fair I show you how to create tasks. So, and why I think they're just much more effective than notifications. So tasks, as I said, the kind of the guiding star here. So the tasks really are important with working across all, and they work across all of these stages. So the first step on kind of the importance of tasks for a sales rep is identifying on the marketing side your lead's important behaviors. You want to, so these are just some examples here. You want to see what are the updates your sales teams would like to get tasks about. So there are actions that people take that display high sales intent, or there might just be strategic times when you want a human touch. So for example, maybe someone registered for an event, or someone registered for an event and didn't attend. That might be a good call for action for a rep to reach out. Then once you've identified your lead's important behaviors, you can narrow this down and determine, as I said, which of these behaviors create a task. And then when these go through, you can have it as a task in HubSpot. You can have integration with Asana, Salesforce, in Slack notifications, emails, etc. There are a number of different ways to warrant to send and notify a task to a rep in HubSpot. Cool. And in addition to this, guys, you also have automation. So whenever a deal enters a new stage, you can loop in an internal stakeholder. So having worked previously as a rep, I know whenever we had a deal go towards a pilot in one of my old companies, that we needed to loop in a sales engineer, or we might need to loop in legal, depending. So you can you can set up your deal pipeline. So when someone enters into a certain stage, they get that particular party, that sales engineer, that the legal team, will get a task or an email saying, "Hi, you need to reach out and perform X, Y, Z on this particular deal." Cool. And now some stale deal alerts. So one of the kind of funny things about working in sales is that salespeople, and I included myself in this when I worked in sales, is that there's some deals you hold on to that you really should just let go. Let it go, you know? But sometimes it can be harder to do that from the rep when they're at the cold face of it. So we're looking at this, how we can manage opportunities, that we're really looking at how the opportunities that never became customers and how we can kind of manage those better. Yeah. So based on how comfortable your workflows, you could just use one or all three of these options, okay? So let me break these down for you, okay? So these are, what you see, any one of these will trigger a task for a manager or a rep, okay? So kind of a simple one. A deal stage has not been updated in X days, so they've been in demo scheduled for 2 months. It's usually not a great sign, so a manager will get notified and a rep will get notified. Or alternatively, the deal was created more than X number of days ago and the deal is still open. So this can be really relevant when you know your average time to close. So if your average time to close is 60 days and this deal has been open for 70 days, it might make sense for the manager to be notified about this deal as well. So, and before I go on to the last one, I want to make it very clear, this isn't a tattletale workflow. This is just empowering the rep and the manager to work together to make sure the pipeline is clean and to make sure they're using their talents where they're used best on deals that are still alive. And then finally, when the close date was more than X days ago and the deal is still open. So if the close date was for the 17th of June, but the deal was open until the 18th or 19th, then you can notify the manager and the sales rep as well. Now, speaking about the comeback hits, the win-back opportunities, everybody's favorite when they work in sales. So we're looking at the opportunities that said never became customers and the ones that kind of got away, okay? So how do we make them become customers in the end, okay? So I want to do this by clarifying our close loss process and identifying maybe what went wrong and how can we win them back in the future. So the first step in this process is to ensure we have a deal property to store information about why a deal was close lost. Okay, so we have a deal here, close loss reason. This is an open text field, Dunder Mifflin, provided a 70% off discount, and then we can have a drop down field here. They give us a close loss reason category as well, okay? So you have to add this into HubSpot manually, but you can pick and choose here. As you can see here, we've added in the top competitors and a number of reasons as well. So this is really valuable information for looking at why deals were lost, and you can then action stuff from this as well. Cool. This is something that what I've shown you there are kind of like our standard best practice, but really important workflows. There's hopefully some very actionable things you can take away. I'm going to show you some more creative examples that a customer have actually shown me. So this is a lost point of contact workflow, okay? So let's say someone is now a customer. Fantastic, great, okay? You're living in CSM dreamland. You have wonderful hair like this guy. It seems to be a theme of today, people with great hair. And you have so you're the CSM, you're working with a great point of contact in the company. They're a champion, they know everything, they really look after the business, they know everything about your product, okay? But they're such a great employee that they get headhunted by another company and they're gone. So they move on to another company. But you can create a left company tick box on the company record and just leave some notes, okay? So you can say, okay, our champion left company, leave some notes, they left to go to XYZ. Okay, and what this can do then is being pretty savvy here. You can create a trigger that will task your sales rep wait a couple of weeks, let her settle in, and then connect with her and leverage that relationship. And maybe you can turn that negative into a positive instead of having lost a key kind of point on contact in with your customers. You're actually gaining a new logo, which would be great. So guys, I really hope there was a lot of actionable takeaways. You can look at that and go, okay, this is perfect. This actually makes sense for my business. It's something I can do here to take away. And on that, then I want to speak about our new product features. Okay, so there's some really exciting features that were rolled out in the last couple of months, and like word to the wise, with inbound coming up September, there's some really cool features coming out. I think you're all going to be pretty excited about. So, but these are features you can actually try today. So HubSpot's goal really is to be here. Okay, and what this means is that when you're using a really simple solution for maybe a small business or something that doesn't have a huge amount of functionality but does one thing particularly, usually the functionality is really easy. Okay, it's because it's not that it's a lot easier to design that particular functionality. However, for those huge enterprise massive systems, they can be extremely powerful but quite challenging to use, and there's quite a high entry level in terms of you need quite experience with it and you to kind of know the ins and outs of the system. So what HubSpot is aiming to do is to be here. So we believe we're getting towards here closer with every single update. And that's kind of the goal of what we're trying to do here with some of these new updates. Cool. So these are effectively, firstly, these are field level edit permissions. So you can basically see people on your team and determine who can edit contacts on certain records, helping keep your database clean. There is now an online integration for QuickBooks. So I realize not all of these updates be relevant to some people, but if even one or two of them are relevant to you, that's a win, because we're always trying to solve it for you guys here. Cool. Drag and drop page editing. For anyone who's been using HubSpot for some time, you'll know we've had this in our email and forms and everything else for a while, but it's great that it's actually made its way to the landing page now. So making it a lot easier, a lot more customer friendly on the landing pages, getting us towards more, hopefully closer towards here. Cool. And then partitioning has been a huge update as well. Basically, you can separate your marketing assets by team, so every user can have access to certain bits of marketing content. We have adaptive testing now. You can create up to 5 variations of a page, which is, once again, pretty amazing stuff and quite easy to use. What we're quite proud of here. And a huge update, probably the biggest one this quarter, last quarter I should say, is account-based marketing. So if you have professional and above, you have access to this really powerful tool. So what it allows you to do effectively is to create target account properties, buyer role, company tier. There's a whole report library, like Sam was speaking about, but for account-based marketing. Company scoring, company overview dashboard. And this is really useful for anyone who has those longer term deals, where there's multiple key points of contact, and there's multiple stakeholders internally. It takes a long time for that deal to close. So what this does is create a dashboard, keep it all in one place. So for example here, so let's say we're clicking to an account, we can see here at S2 Bogota, okay, these are the points of contact. So stakeholder, champion, economic buyer. This person's a blocker, they're not there, they're championing something else. You can see when the last time we reached out to them. You can see their last engagement, what email they've opened, what page they've been on. Do we have any upcoming meetings scheduled with them? And in addition to that as well, you can also see the sessions, conversions, new contacts, all to do with that one particular account. It's pretty powerful stuff. Advanced conversational marketing made a debut as well, just allowing you to trigger webhooks in chat and Facebook Messenger. PieSync, this is pretty huge. So it can now sync HubSpot with over 200 apps with a few clicks. This is really in the direction we're trying to go. We're going more and more integrated with the huge app marketplace. The sales reports are getting much smarter. Sam covered this in depth quite well there, that the reporting and dashboard functionality is getting better and better. And there's a lot of out of the box, really smart reports that you and your team can use. There's a Canva button. This is something I haven't personally used, but a number of my customers have actually built really beautiful emails and pages without leaving their HubSpot account using Canva. A friend of mine actually made her wedding invitations using Canva. So if that's not an endorsement, I'm not sure what is. And then, of course, the big workflow updates. So merging branches, which is huge. And then, of course, the wait until delays are coming out soon. So to give you a breakdown of what the wait until delay is. So effectively, you can now time your workflow steps to trigger. So if your contact is halfway through your workflow and the customer takes an important action like visiting a page or filling out a form, you can then trigger another workflow, or you can then, okay, this person's actually ready to skip to this stage. So it's pretty powerful stuff that should be coming out pretty soon. And of course, custom properties, you can now update your properties, for example, for the unique to your individual companies, which is great for using quotes and anything else to that effect. Form analytics, there's some pretty incredible out-of-the-box analytics and beautiful looking forms, beautiful looking analytics that are out there available for you to use. And of course, social post boosting. So you can give your basically your posts on Facebook a bit of paid budget boost as well, really simply all through HubSpot. And finally, we have our password protected knowledge articles. So you can control the audience for a certain article by protecting it via password list. This is currently only available on Service Hub Enterprise, but it's on the roadmap. It's pretty powerful. So guys, that's everything for me. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope there were some actionable takeaways you guys can use. I'm just going to stick around for questions. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys might have.